Good morning, fly tires. Mike Dunnaway, the Flatland Fly Tire here. And today we're going to be tying a fly that is a great hopper pattern. And June, which will be in here in a couple of months, will be hopper season throughout most trout waters. And today we're going to tie the Fat Albert. Now, the Fat Albert is a big chunk of foam. It floats high in the water and is just a great attractor hopper pattern. And one of the features of the Fat Albert is the underbody. This is really what attracts the fish. This is what the fish sees. It looks very hopper-like. It's got a segmented body, lots of legs. Then on top, it's got a lot of items that maintain the high visibility of the fly. It's got two wing posts essentially that will make the fly very easy to see and follow. So let's get to work on this thing. I've got a size 6 curved nymph hook in the vise, and we're tying this fly in pink and purple this morning, just like the example I showed you. And we're using some purple 140 denier thread. Start that up at the behind the eye and build a thread base. Bring our thread back up to about 1/3 of the way down the hook. And we've pre-cut the foam. We're using two different pieces of foam. The purple, which will form the top of the fly, it's going to be about 1.5 hook gap in wide, hook gaps wide, and then the pink foam, which will form the underbody, is about 1 hook gap wide. We'll start with the thick foam, and there's no need to trim this to a point or anything. We'll just work it around the hook and lash it down. To start with, we'll take some spiral wraps. We're going to cover all this up with thread. Take some spiral wraps back to the back and then forward. This does not have to be pretty, especially at first. Main thing is to get those chunks of foam just about as even as possible for the next foam tie-in. Next, with the thinner piece of foam, the pink foam, will come up on top. Same thing, pinch it around the hook and tie it down. Some spiral wraps at first. And what I do is spin the thread counterclockwise to clockwise, I guess, just to flatten out the thread so it provides better coverage. We're going to cover up all of that foam with thread. by golly, I think it is counterclockwise. There we go. This takes a little bit of time and patience. Got to build a little thread ramp up at the front for a transition up to the foam. Continue covering up those little stripes of pink that show up through the wraps. We've about got it done. Now check the bottom. Got pretty good coverage. Okay, so now we've got to divide our segment, our body segment, or body length, into 4 segments. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And threads at that 1/4 point. Fold the underbody foam over and make a loose wrap, tighten it down, and 2 more securing wraps. Wrap forward on the body up to the 1/2 point. Fold the foam over, loose wrap, pull it tight, and a couple of securing wraps. Up to the 3/4 point. Again, loose wrap, pull it tight, a couple of securing wraps. The reason I do the loose wrap at first, because if you just start out with the tight wrap, then that tends to rock or roll the foam over the side. Last one. Loose wrap, pull it tight, a couple of securing wraps. Now just to get some of this foam out of the way, we can trim that off. We're going to trim it off long. Take the heavy foam, the purple foam, fold it over the top. Make 1 loose wrap, pull it tight, and a couple of securing wraps. We can trim this off as well and get it out of our way. Now we've got, this essentially forms the body of the fly. Now it's time to put in the first wing, and for this we can use a variety of fibers. Typically I would use all EP fiber, but I didn't have any white EP fiber. So I'm using some SF fiber, which works just as well. And we'll take a chunk of that, about that diameter, lay that on top of the hook, on top of the wrap, and tie that down. And then we're going to take our pink foam, a narrow piece of foam, and hold that over the wing just slightly. Tie that down. That forces that wing post rearward. Okay, now we can trim off that white wing about at the end of the body. Next is our chartreuse post. Tie that in just on top of the pink foam. Couple of wraps, and then we want to direct this piece rearward as well. So the trick there is to gather that clump in your hand and give it a push forward. That forms a little bulb. And wrap up over that bulb. And that directs that foam rearward. Now we can trim that off, and I like to trim it off just slightly shorter than the white wing. And next, we'll tie on the first set of legs. Now the legs, the first set of legs, we'll take, we're using some black and purple barred legs. These are just some centipede legs by Montana Fly Company. You can use any variety of legs that you like. Pull out a full strip of that leg material, fold it in half, and tie an overhand knot. The rear legs are knotted legs. And we want the length of the leg back to the knot to be about the length of the body, from the wing tie-in back to the back. Almost, not quite. Tie it down on one side. Then we'll grab the other leg that's been prepared with the knot and tie that down. This fly has a lot of legs, and they become a little bit cumbersome to work around as you tie the fly. We'll get her done though. As you tie those down, it forces those legs to extend out from the body, which is just what you want. Now we can trim those off, and you can do it all at the end, but I like doing it as I go. And just try to get the legs about the same length. Back legs we'll trim off as well. Those look pretty good. Okay, now we'll advance our thread forward to a little bit behind the eye. I'm going to take all those thread pieces, all three of those thread pieces, we're going to tie those down. Loose wrap, pull it tight. Pull those legs back if that's helpful. Now that top piece of foam, it's just there to help corral the wing. So we're going to trim that off straight across right there. Now it's time for our last set of legs. For there, we can use the piece that we cut off on those front legs. It'll be about the right length. And hold that up on the middle piece of the foam. Tie that in. We can adjust that to hold it right in the middle where we want it. Now we can do the same thing on the other side. Pull some of those legs back to make our tie-in easier. Okay, now we can trim those off about the same length as those that first set of legs that we tied in. Very good. Now we can, if you're really good at doing a hand whip finish, you can do that. I'm not that good at doing the hand whip finish, and it's almost impossible to do with the whip finish tool. So I'm going to use several half hitches to secure the thread. Kind of got to force that up underneath the eye, between the foam and the eye. Do about 4 half hitches. That'll secure it. We're going to have a lot of cement material up there to help secure this thread anyway. So there we go. Thread's all tied down. Now we can trim off our foam in front to the final length, and we want to have plenty of room up there for this thread to stick out in front of the eye. That helps keep the fly floating with the top of the fly up. So we're going to trim that off just about there, straight across. And now we can trim off the corners. both pieces of protruding foam. That forms the head of the Fat Albert fly. Now we're almost done. You know, the fly's all tied, everything's trimmed, the legs and the head, but we've got this body material that's all thread. We want this to be durable, so we're going to do two things. We're going to use some Zap-A-Gap up here on our thread tie-in, or our half hitches, to secure that. A little drop of Zap-A-Gap there. Then we're going to coat the entire body, underbody of the fly, the thread wraps, with Sally Hansen's. That will give it more durability. So we'll coat that whole underbody with Sally Hansen's and try to get some thread on, or some Sally Hansen's on the thread wraps going up over the foam. And last step, we've got these knots on our legs that we tied earlier. We're going to put some Zap-A-Gap or super glue on those knots. Those keep those knots from working free. And there you have the Fat Albert dry fly. And this works great fish by itself. Bounce it along the banks as close as you can. And also works great as a top fly and a hopper dropper rig. So give that a try starting in June and catch some nice trout with it.